Hi, welcome back to In the Kitchen. Today I am going to make Italian beef stroganoff. And why is it Italian? Because it's got Italian seasoning in it. Other than that, it's just beef stroganoff. But it's my version of beef stroganoff. I do things a little bit differently. You know me by now. I don't follow the line, I go above the line. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do some prep here for this dish. It's a fairly simple dish to make. So I'm going to start doing this series that I call like, it's almost like kitchen shortcuts, right? So you can go into the supermarket and you can buy a lot of prepackaged things that all the prep work's already been done for you. Like, for instance, I'm going to use pizza crust dough here instead of making it myself. If I made the dough myself, it would take me hours in the kitchen. Let's face reality here, folks. We all got jobs. We got things we have to do. We got families, kids running around. We got to go to church. We got things that are going on in our lives. So we don't have time to really, go in depth and make the dough and make the noodles and all of that. So I got these shortcuts on this series that I'm going to put together. And it's just basically, it's real good home cooked food, but we're using the shortcuts that we can buy these things at the supermarket in order to make these things in an economical way and a time saving way, right? So we're calling them kitchen shortcuts, Jersey Joe's kitchen shortcuts. And it's going to be things like I just said, like pre-made dough, regular made noodles. I'm not going to create the sin, or I'm not going to do the mortal sin that would make grandma go crazy and buy jarred spaghetti sauce. That's not going to happen. I'm still going to make my own sauce, my own gravy, but I'm going to take steps to, make things a little bit easier so we can cut the prep time almost in half with a lot of this stuff. So on this beef stroganoff that I'm going to do today, we're going to start off with, obviously, we need some onions. I want a whole onion here, a whole medium to large size onion, because this dish is really good with the onions and the sauteing the onions. So we're going to go ahead with onions. We're going to go with 2 pounds of ground hamburger, an 80-20 mix, 2 bags of these no yolks. These are really good, cheap noodles. They're like 99 cents or $2, depending on where you go, but they're good noodles. And these are the dumpling size noodles, so they're like really wide. So I like them. You're going to go with 2 of these bags here. These are 8-ounce bags. So we're going to go 2 bags of that, of the shredded cheese, and it's an Italian style fancy shredded cheese. 1 block of your regular Philadelphia cream cheese, or any maker of cream cheese. It doesn't have to be, Philadelphia's brand. Heavy whipping cream. We're going to go with 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and regular beef, gravy powder, right? So this will make up some beef gravy for me. This here happens to be made by Zatarain's, I believe it was, where we got this from. They're the manufacturer of this, and it's just regular, beef gravy. You can use any kind of brown gravy mix, because we're not going to make it to the directions. The directions say basically 2 tablespoons of the powder, and then you add like 1 cup of cold water, and then you boil it, right? We're going to change that up because this is going to be, a stroganoff. What we're going to do is we're going to substitute 1 cup for 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. So so basically what I have here is enough for 4 cups. It would be 4 cups of water. So instead, I'm going to do 2 cups of heavy whipping cream and 2 cups of water. So that's going to give me a real creamy and almost like a milky taste to the brown gravy, which will play off of the stroganoff theme. So that's it. It's very simple. We got some salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to finish chopping up this onion, getting it ready. We're going to saute the onion. We're going to add the meat. We're going to add the spices, and we're going to get going. You're going to boil your noodles separately. You're going to make your gravy separately. And then we're just going to put it all together and bake it for about 45 minutes with all the cheeses in it. And it's going to be a crowd pleaser. And it's not going to take us long to make at all. So when we come back, we'll be ready to go. So on your onion here, you want to do a rough cut on your onion. I don't want the onion minced. When we mince the onion, we're doing that because we really want small pieces. We don't want to taste it, right? We want to taste this onion, so we want nice big chunks here. So we're just rough cutting the onion, big chunks, and that'll play nice with this dish. All right, so I got behind me, I got the pot heating up. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pot. And I'm going to saute these onions up as soon as I get up to temp here. And then when I saute, obviously I'm going to have salt, pepper, and Italian seasonings. So our onions are in. Put a little bit of coarse black pepper in there. Looks good. Get some salt in there. And our Italian seasoning. We're going to go a little heavy on Italian seasoning, probably about 2 teaspoons. And we're always going to use our leftovers later. And then I have some mushrooms here that I'm going to also throw in here. These are regular canned mushrooms. Nothing major. Again, like I always say, if you want to use fresh mushrooms, I would recommend fresh. You can do that. But since I basically just woke up this morning and had this recipe in mind, I really didn't think it through and buy some fresh mushrooms. But it's not going to be a problem because these canned mushrooms saute very nicely. All right, I got the canned mushrooms in here. I drained them down, and I'm just going to let them saute with these onions. I'm going to saute on a medium heat. I don't want to burn it. I actually want to saute it. So we'll just let that saute up a bit for us, and then we'll go ahead and add the hamburger. All right, so we are sauteing now, folks. We're going to try to get this onion to almost like a translucent before we add the meat in. That way I know that the onion's going to truly get cooked with the meat. Now, because we have such a large amount of mushrooms and onions in here, I still got to fit 2 pounds of meat in this pot. So I probably should have went with a bigger pot, but we'll see how it goes. If you're doing it at home, you probably want to use a larger pot. I anticipated on cooking the noodles in this pot, so that was why I went with the smaller pot for the sauteing and the burger, but I think we'll be all right anyway. I'm going to go ahead and start to put this burger meat in here. I'm just going to kind of break it up as I put it in there, make my life a little bit easier. But remember, I do have that fancy masher that I keep showing you folks, so I'll be able to use that masher. Look at that. Yeah, so I'm going to go over to Phil's tonight. We're going to have a nice Bible study, and we're going to have a good meal. So this is going to be tonight's meal for our Bible study. So, you know, I probably should have a bigger pot here, but this will work out fine. You just got to be careful not to make a mess. Because, you know, when the hamburger cooks down, it's going to shrink anyway, so this will be perfect once it does shrink down. But we'll be fine. I'm not worried. So we'll just turn this heat up a little bit here and get this meat done. And we are going to drain this. I do say when I'm making my gravy, I don't like to drain it because fat is flavor, but for this dish, we want to drain it because we don't want to have an oily brown gravy when it all mixes together. So we'll just let that go. So we'll get the fancy masher in here now. Just mash and spin. This masher really comes in handy when you got a big pot like this. Or excuse me, when you got a lot of meat like this in here and you're trying not to make a mess, your masher really does a good job. I was at, where was I at? I went to Big Lots. Big Lots has a kitchen section. And I was in there the other day and I was looking through and I actually found an off-name brand of this masher. It was like $5. I recommend going out there and grabbing one if you don't want to get one through Pampered Chef. All right, our meat's cooking up good. We're looking good. The wife will be happy. I didn't make a mess on the stove. Every time I film, she says, "What happened in here? A bomb went off and blew it up? You in this cooking show?" I said, "Honey, we're reaching people. We're preaching the gospel. We're cooking good food. And we're building something here. So it's all right to make a mess. You know? It's okay. You think God didn't make a mess when he made the earth and the cosmos? Maybe he made a mess. You don't know. Maybe he had sawhorses hanging out somewhere, and he left a hammer out, and someone said, "Well, look, God, you made a mess making the earth. What's going on here?" You gotta make a mess to make good food. Just remember that. Everyone makes a mess. The outcome makes it all worth it. That's what I would say. Anyway, I just rattled on while my meat cooks. So when you get this 80-20, you get a lot of fat here. So we're going to definitely drain the fat out. I want my listeners around for a long time. So we want to get this cholesterol out of this dish, so you don't get those arteries clogged up. I know I'm contradicting myself because I say fat is flavor, but there's just certain things that you can take extra steps to make it a little bit healthier, but not substitute flavor. You don't never want to substitute flavor or quality. But I think we're good here. This is looking really nice. So we'll let this finish up probably another minute or two, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this off. I'm going to drain it. I'm going to put it into a bowl, and I'm going to let it rest, and then I'm going to focus on the gravy. Like I said, we're going to make that brown gravy next, and then we're going to get that boiling, and we're going to let that rest for a bit too. This dish is all about cooking, letting it rest, because you want those flavors to kind of meld together. We want that brown gravy to get really thick. So, yeah. All right, we're ready to drain this. So take it to the strainer. Nice. We'll let the wife clean that. She says, "I want to help. I want to be part of this." I said, "You can help. I got all this stuff to clean up. You're a good sous chef. Sous chefs always clean. That's their job. Prep and clean up for the chef." All right, I'm going to grab a big bowl, and I'm going to put this in a big bowl. All right. Drain the rest of that oil away. All that fat. Get that out of there. All right. Look at that. Beautiful. We're just going to let this rest now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this brown gravy together now for the mix. So I got the pot heating up there. So what I'm going to do is, this is my brown gravy mix here. This is enough for 4 cups. It's, like I say, regular off-the-shelf brown gravy. This, like I say, is like a Cajun brown gravy. I think it's got a little bit more spices in it. I bought it at the Cajun store. But brown gravy is brown gravy for this dish. Not going to matter. But since I'm putting a little twist on it, giving it the Jersey Joe Italian Cajun style, that's what we're going to do. So we'll put our water in first. And then we're going to put our mix in. And we're going to wait on the cream I'm going to actually whisk this up. Get it all incorporated. Take your rubber spoon, get around the edges. Make sure you don't get nothing on there. You want to get it all incorporated. I can feel it sitting on the bottom there still, so we'll just stir it a bit. And then we'll add the cream. And because I'm putting cream in here, this is going to boil pretty good. So we want to make sure it doesn't boil over as it boils. So we want to watch this dish. So we start off on high, kind of mix it together. You see how it turns that brown gravy almost like a silky milk? That's what we're looking for. Now, I actually just thought of this last night, this whole mixture here with the milk, because when you think it traditional stroganoff, beef stroganoff, it has that milky kind of taste to it. So I want to make sure that I like this before I even go on. Delish. Let's let that. So there's flour incorporated in with the powder, the brown gravy powder. So as this boil and heats up, it's going to get thicker and thicker and thicker. So the goal here is to bring this to a rolling boil, then put it down to a simmer and keep on incorporating it, making sure we're mixing it so it doesn't get clumpy and doesn't stick. And then we'll let it set for a bit. And as it sets, it will thicken up on us. And then once it's thickened up, I'm going to show you what we do next. So we'll let this go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water in the pot, and I'm going to get these noodles going so we can really start cooking here. We've been going here now for about 5 minutes, and it's already thickening up nicely for me. It's got that nice light brown color that I really love for this dish. I'm just going to get it off the sides, make sure our sides are clean, and kind of incorporate that in there. It's just about to start to come to a boil here. And as soon as it boils, I'm just going to turn it to medium and keep stirring it, letting it go for a little bit longer. It's almost like tempering here that we're doing. We're just going to constantly stir it. Like, so when you're melting chocolate down, you want to constantly stir it. And when you're trying to incorporate other flavors in it, you're just constantly moving it. So when you move it, it doesn't have time to set on the bottom and burn. You're going to get some stubborn stuff on the sides and the bottom, but we'll deal with that. So as you can see, I'm starting to boil now. So I'm going to turn that heat down, way down, because I don't want to burn the bottom. You get that scorched taste in the gravy, and it just tastes funky. So you got to watch it. It's constant watch and stir. So while I'm doing this, I'll go ahead and get this burner going here. This is going to be for the noodles. I'm going to salt it. You know, when they talk about how much salt do I put in my water, it's about a half a teaspoon or so, depending on how much water you have there. It's very dependent on, like I say, the amount of water. In my opinion, you really can't over salt because the water is only going to absorb so much salt, and that's it. Once it absorbs it, it's not going to absorb anymore. So I think if you go with a half a teaspoon in general, that's pretty good. All right, so I just shut the heat off on this. I'm just going to let this set and cool down. And as it cools down, it's going to get really thick. And that's what I want, because I'm going to mix that in with the meat sauce, or excuse me, with the meat that we just did. And then we're going to just put it all together. It's really simple. So we get this water boiling. Once this water comes to a boil, we'll get our noodles in there, and we'll just keep going. All right, so what I want to do here, while my water is heating up, I'm going to get that dough ready. So I want to make sure I have a good release off the bottom of this dish. So I'm going to get some butter on it before I get this dough down on it. show you a little trick. Just take a sandwich bag, put your hand on it, take some room temperature butter. Go ahead and butter the sides and the bottom. This way, I can guarantee a good release from the bottom. And this is going to cook on the top shelf of the oven with a baking sheet under it. So I'm not worried about it burning with this butter down here. This butter is just going to help me quickly release out as you're digging into it. Because again, we got pizza dough on the bottom here we're talking about. So I want to make sure it comes up. So when I put this butter on here, I'm ensuring that I have a pretty good release with it. So let's go ahead and get this crust on here. You know, I hate these things. When my daughter was really young, my oldest daughter, I would do that next to her and she would scream and jump. It's so funny. Anyway, I guess you had to be there. All right. So we're going to unroll it right in the bottom here. And then we're going to kind of push it and spread it out so it goes up the side a little bit. Almost like we're making the Chicago style deep dish pizza. It annoys me that they call it pizza because that's not pizza. You go to Italy and ask for a deep dish and they're going to look at you like you're nuts on. They say, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? You want a deeper dish? We don't make no deeper dish. Actually, pizza was actually invented by Chinese, perfected over here in America. And then the Italians kind of picked it up over there in their bistros. And they really do almost like a flatbread, thin crust kind of thing. But the pizza over there and versus the pizza over here, pizza, two different things. You'd be surprised. I'm going back in May, back to Italy for a little bit, having a little family vacation. So I'm going to bring back some new recipes. Some new recipes with my little signature twist on them. So you're going to think I'm gone. You're not going to have any videos from me for about 15, 20 days. But that's just because we're going to be away there. So that's what we're looking for. It's halfway up the side. It's fitting nice down on the bottom. That's really all we want to do. And we're just going to let that set. We can take some Italian seasoning and go ahead and give a little sprinkle. Just make it look pretty, even though no one's going to see it because it's going to be covered. But we're going to get a nice flavor out of it, and that's what we're looking for. We're nice and thick, so our gravy's ready. So what I want to do, that's about what we want. It's nice and thick, not too thick, not too thin. It's just perfecto. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So now we're going to go ahead and put the gravy in with the meat. But I want to get this rubber spoon because I want to be able to get all of it. I guess you guys want to see me do that. So we'll dump that all on there. Yay! And we'll get the rest out with the rubber spoon. Whoever invented the rubber spoon is probably a billionaire because it is such a simple, cheap tool, but so useful. I mean, without the rubber spoon, you would have wasted all of that, which was probably a quarter of a cup. It's a pretty cool thing. Anyway, there we go. All right. So now we're going to mix it all together and with our meat. So our meat basically turns into a chunky gravy now. And we're going to let it rest some more after we mix it all together. Like I say, this dish is all about resting. Resting, resting, resting. Look at how nicely that incorporated in there. It's nice and thick and meaty. Oh, Jersey Joe Italian themed beef stroganoff. I think beef stroganoff is, don't quote me on this, but I think it's a German dish. Is it a German dish, dear? I think it is. My camera person today's Miss Jersey Joe. That's why I called her dear. I generally do not harass my staff. It's Miss Jersey Joe today on the camera. Anyway, I think that looks good. So we're going to let that rest because that's what we do. We rest. And when we rest, we have perfection. Everything just takes time. If we could just figure out how to slow down in our lives and rest more, it would be perfection. There's a couple of things that people are missing out of their lives. First thing is Jesus. People that don't have Jesus in their lives, I feel sorry for, but I still love them and I want to bring them to Jesus. So that's one thing. You need Jesus in your life. You need a lot of rest in your life, especially when you get older. You got to have that downtime. You got to have that rest time and good food. Those are the key 3 things to life: Jesus, rest, and food. And if you got all 3 of them in your life, you're on fire. All right. All right, we're just going to let this go for a little bit. When we come back, we'll have the noodles boiling, and we're just going to let them go. And then we'll drain them. And then I'm going to show you how we put the dish together, and then we're going to bake it. We'll see you soon. All right, welcome back. So our water is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and put the no yolks in there. It's an interesting name, no yolk. It's actually, there's a reason why it's called no yolk, for those of you that are wondering what that means, right? So Italian pasta is made with yolks. It's actually the whole egg. When I make my pasta, I have very fine flour, and what I'll do is just basically mix it with an egg. And when you mix it with an egg in hand, you make your own pasta. So this is actually made with the egg whites. That's why it's called no yolk. Imagine that. We're just going to go ahead and let them boil. Once they're done, we're going to drain them, put them into a bowl, and when we come back at you, we'll have the noodles done, ready to go, and we'll have everything ready to put this dish together and get it ready for the oven. See you soon. Okay, so our noodles are done. We've drained them and put them back in the pot. And we're going to get ready now to add butter to the noodles. Yes, a whole stick. We'll go ahead and drop that in there. I'm going to take my flat wood spoon here. All right, so we're just going to continue to kind of fluff the noodles up, mixing that butter throughout. Grab the rest of our Italian seasoning, put it in there, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of brown pepper. And just keep mixing it through. All right, now, fun part. Let's get to our gravy mix here. Mix up our gravy some more. Our gravy and meat mixture. Don't add all of it. We're going to probably have leftover here. So I'm going to start off with probably half of that, maybe 3/4. And always add more. You can't take it out after you add it. So get in now, mix it from the bottom, kind of fold it in. I don't want to break up the noodles, so I just want to kind of mix it in. And then I'm just looking for, hamburger and sauce in every bite. No dry spots. All right, I'm going to add some more. Maybe we will use all of it. We'll just use it all. I did 2 bags. If you did 1 bag, you probably won't. 1 bag of noodles, you probably won't use all the meat. But since I made such a big batch here, we'll just go ahead and use 2 pounds of the meat and the sauce here. All right, let's just continue mixing it in. Now that's what we want to look for. See how that's all nice and incorporated in there? At this point, if you're looking for a more traditional dish, you could actually add a half a cup of sour cream while you're mixing the ingredients. All right. Now we'll come over here. We're going to get our cream cheese ready. Open up our cream cheese. I hate the way they package these. This is always a pain in the neck to open, especially when it's soft. Just trying not to squish it all out there. All right. Get that out of the way. Put that over there. This looks good. All right. Big spoon with holes. Get a nice scoop. Kind of put it in there and let's start to spread it out. I want to just do a thin coat on here first, because we're making it almost like we're making the baked ziti when we put the ricotta cheese in there, except there's no ricotta here. This is going to be the cream cheese. So we'll go like that. Get 2 spoons, because this cream cheese is very fickle. Push that off of there, little dollop. For a more traditional dish, add dollops of sour cream along with the cream cheese as you're putting this together here as well. We want to do little dollops because we want it to kind of spread out and ooze out all throughout the mix. Give us that nice bite. When you bite into it, you get a little bit of cream cheese, you get a little bit of regular cheese. It's good to go. We're going to use the whole package. Kitchen shortcuts. Very simple. Not a lot of work. You can prep it the night before for the next night's dinner. It's not going to take too much out of you to do. And the result is like you've been slaving in the kitchen all day to make this dish. When in reality, it didn't take too long at all. All right. Get another glob with the big spoon. Go ahead and kind of put it in there and cover up our cream cheese. This is a nice dish for wintertime when it's cold outside. You got some people coming over. You're gonna have a little get together. Make a dish like this. Blow their minds to think you've been working on it all day. When in reality, it's quite simple to make. And leftovers on this, when you reheat the leftovers, they're even better than the original. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's because the flavors meld together overnight in the fridge. But regardless, it is delish. No matter when you eat it. I'm going to use every little bit in here. And that looks perfect. All right. Cheeses. We've already got the cream cheese in, so now this is a mixture of Asiago. It's got some cheddar in there and some provolone. So it really gives it that secondary cheese taste. And this will melt across the top real nice like. I'm not going to use all 16 ounces of it, but I like my cheese. Italians love cheese. Actually, I think everybody loves cheese. Who don't love cheese? I think you're crazy if you don't love cheese, unless you're allergic to it. I feel sorry for people that are allergic to it, I'll tell you that, because cheese is tasty. All right, finish getting it on there. And again, when we bake this, we're going to bake it in a 375 degree oven for about 45 minutes or so. We're looking for the sides to be bubbly and the cheese on the top to be nicely browned. I think we're just going to use it all. What the heck? Why not? Kind of smooth it out a little bit. This will expand upwards because of that dough in there. So if you notice, I'm making it almost like a hill. So I got room on the sides for runoff, and I'll sit up here and bubbly. It's not going to expand too much, but it will expand. And that there is that. This is Jersey Joe's Italian Beef Stroganoff. I'm thinking it might even be Russian or German. I don't know. I know the Russians have a version of beef stroganoff, because I believe stroganoff is almost a Russian word. Not sure. Don't quote me on it. The only thing you can quote me on is when I'm preaching the gospel. You can guarantee and take that to the bank. Some of these things, not quite sure the origination of the dish, but it's been modified by Jersey Joe. So we're going to get the oven preheated. We're going to drop it in, and then we're going to show you what it looks like when it's done. See you in a bit. Okay, oven is preheated. We're going to go ahead and put a baking tray down. Let me do it this way. Baking tray on the bottom. Top shelf. 375. We're going to go for, let's get it right around 350. 350, that way I won't burn the top. So 350. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes. On this dish, you know, you can cook it up to an hour. It depends on your layer of browning that you want. I'm at a probably medium layering of browning right now, and I think that's good because I'm going to reheat this later, so I'm not going to brown it completely. So at this point, this dish is done and ready to go. Oh, look at that. There you go. Jersey Joe style beef stroganoff. What you want to do is take yourself a sharp knife, and you got to cut through that layer of crust down on the bottom. So you want to cut it all into even squares completely through. Get yourself a spatula and serving, and make sure you go deep down underneath to pick up that breading. And since we put that butter on there to release, it'll slide right out and right onto your plate. And there you go. Remember, keep the faith, say a prayer every day, thanking the Almighty for the gifts that He gives you in your life. Talk to you soon. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, as well as follow us on Facebook at Jersey Joe Conjemi.